Achtung Millwall supports the Lions Food Hub, and all of our advertising revenues will be donated to support this fantastic initiative. It's now based at the Lions Centre on Bolina Road, and it's run by our own Kelly Webster. This is a friendly food bank supporting families in the Bermondsey and SE16 area. If you can help support the Lions Food Hub in any way, please visit at Lions Food Hub on Twitter or get in touch with us at Achtung Millwall. The Lions Food Hub. Come on, you Lions.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome back to the 2020-21-22 season. Get it right, Nick. I've been away for a few days, so apologies for the lateness of the review of the week. But joining me, I'm in fine company. Joining me is Mr. Michael Avery, he of the refereeing and the MSc and all the other things that he does. How are you, Michael?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm just thinking of other unpopular groups I can join to really...
Well, you're not a member of the police force yet, so, you know, I think we can still talk, mate.
And the traffic warden membership's going well, yeah.
Parking attendant. And the other dulcet tone you can hear is Harry Warren. How you doing, H?
You're right, mate. Next, Michael's going to join Sadiq Khan's assembly and just to finish off all the cabbies as well.
Oh dear, I played us in, dear listeners, with an audio that I've lifted off of one of Harry's videos that he sent on our WhatsApp group after a very solid opening week, I think it's fair to say, chaps, for the start of the season. Good point, I thought, at QPR, and then obviously the 2-1 win over Pompey the other night in the Caribou Cup. Some would argue less importantly, but it's always nice to get a win under your belts. Now, chaps, you both went to Loftus Road. I managed to catch it on a stream out there in the bucolic countryside of Somerset whilst I was away. I've got to say, Harry, that was a mental atmosphere at QPR, mate. It came across on the iFollow stream. How was it to be in it?
Oh, it was magical. It was like a festival, but like rock and like I'm too young to have lived through sort of
Woodstock
and all this other carry on. But it did feel like it was like, I don't know. It was just like a release. It was like an out of body experience. Like
yeah.
You know. I mean, comic value was the QPR stewards trying to make us sit in our correct seat.
That I would love to have seen. They wouldn't show that on the stream.
No, they wouldn't. They should have done. They could have charged. That was like a pay-per-view event. They could have charged for that. That would have been good. But I mean, that jokes aside, I mean, it's a terrible ground, Loftus Road, but we made the best of it. And I don't know the noise before the game. I mean, even before we'd come out, like the boys had been in the pub, you could tell everyone was treating it like it was their day. And
big day. Yeah.
It's what we'd all been waiting for. Everyone, you know, we deserve it. You know, all this carry on about people poo-pooing and clutching at pearls and whatever. Blokes, this is blokes' release. This is why mental health cases went up through the thing. This helps keep the nation sane. Blokes allowing themselves to go mental for 90 minutes at particularly dressed men in black, you know, called officials or the opposition. You know, that's it's healthy, I'm afraid. And yeah, to be back was magical. I can't think of any other word. I mean, I thought I'd be more emotional about it than I was. I thought I'd be kind of a bit sort of glassy-eyed over it, and I wasn't. I just sort of, it just felt strange yet normal at the same time. And you know, the first of the familiar, you know, let them come started in the upper tier, and it just felt normal. What I'll feel like walking back into the den, you know, for an even longer time. I think it was I counted it on the day. It was 545 days since I'd seen my team live. And it's obviously been longer now since, another 7 days since I saw them at the den. I think you don't realise how much not just the routine. You don't realise how much that it's an inanimate object. The den, but I never knew the old Den, so this is the only home I've ever known, which I suppose maybe some of the listeners will feel the same. But it is, you spend as much time there as you do. It's your home, your job, and then the Den really is where you
Absolutely.
spend your
Yeah.
time. And
I was trying to add up the number of times I've been to the football in my life. I mean, I don't know. It must run up to the thousands. I don't know over a life. I mean, Michael, you were there at QPR. I mean, as I said to Harry, the atmosphere really struck me, and I thought, and I'm interested to see what you think, that it was a typical Millwall mental atmosphere. Every listener to the show will know exactly what I mean when I say that. It almost sucks the oxygen out of the air around you. I wondered really whether it affected the players both in a good way and a bad way, because the opening phase of the game, just looking at my notes as I'm speaking to you both, was the immense start that we made. It was almost like we were wired into the national grid and we were running with like a nuclear power station's power behind us. I thought we can't keep this going, and lo and behold, we couldn't. But I mean, the atmosphere must have fueled that. Do you think so, Michael?
Oh yeah, certainly. And sort of to echo what Harry was saying there, this is the cliche why away games better than home games. You say how much you love the Den, Harry. We all love the Den. Nick, you've got a bit more experience than I have with the old Den, but there is just something that bit more magic about away games, as you say, because you feel, with all due respect to the fans who couldn't make it, and it was disappointing, that only 2,000 seats were available, but you're like the 2,000 who managed to get there, you know what I mean, for the first game back since COVID. So, or, since the regulations were relaxed. I do entirely see where you're coming from, because you could just see after the warm-ups the way that even Long come over, didn't he, Harry, to the fans, sort of fist pump to the air and everything like that. The way the players come up to the fans before the game and cheered, and obviously you see that connection when Jed scored. For a player that they reckon might be on his way out or is struggling to find the pen to sign the contract, is the way he ran the length of the pitch to celebrate with us just shows the connection between the club and the players. Sorry, the club and the fans, should I say? But yeah, I do think it was a very good high tempo. We were certainly the better side for the opening half an hour, 35 minutes.
Yeah,
but...
up to the equaliser, which was disappointing. But I thought for the first 20, 30 minutes or so, we were running on fueled on a substance of the old marching powder. Maybe, I don't know. It was eye bulging stuff. I mean, it was wonderful to watch it. What it would be like to be in the ground, I can only imagine. I mean, I've been in atmospheres, as everyone on this show and listening has in their lives, so you kind of know it can only last so long. And I just want to run a little clip with Jed. It was actually just lifted from the club site. I mean, I don't often do this, but I thought this one was quite interesting, in which he says it was an overwhelming or magnificent atmosphere. So let's just run that.
Mad feeling. Even just walking out, I think Dan Ballard sort of said to me, like, wow, like when he walked out, this was a great game to get as well. QPR away, it's always a massive atmosphere. Us bringing away, and yeah, it's not often I'm not.
You're speechless, yeah.
I'm a little bit, yeah. It's a little bit overwhelming today, to be honest.
So yeah, I mean, I think that the impact of that atmosphere is it's when the lull comes, Harry. I mean, that was a very poor goal to give away, I thought, and it seems a bit churlish in the aftermath of a blistering start, but to allow a decent QPR player to run through the middle of the pitch and then have a free shot on goal, would be disappointing. But I just think it's that kind of come down after the high type of thing of this start. I mean, would you agree with that?
Yeah, slightly. I think it was joyous. There was no heat in the atmosphere, if that makes sense. It was there was no needle. It was the first game. It's QPR. I mean, where they rank on my sort of shit list of football.
Your hateometer, the Harry hateometer.
Yeah, they're not. They're like a tepid beige. They just exist. They're there.
They're like Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham, Brentford. Any club in West London have a sort of.
So what?
Kind of beige banality about them, which I'm not really bothered about. But yeah, we sort of stood off, let them shoot from range. I think it was a centre back who scored from them, if I remember.
I think it was. I think.
It's one of those ones where you think, oh yeah, go on, let the centre back have a shot from 35 yards. Maybe two of them fly in a year, and it just so happened to be ours. I mean, we let him have another chance. The same player about 5 minutes later, and it went wide, and Bart went mental at the back four. Whether or not a Cooper in that back three
would have livened it,
would have livened it up, you'll never know. But all in all, I thought it was a good Millwall performance from the defensive side. Anyway, I am being a bit churlish, as you'd say, that I think that a fully fit Millwall side, and I don't think, I mean, Rowett said that we're not fully fit. I mean, I've got questions to ask about that, but we're apparently not fully fit.
Well, certainly no Cooper, Harry. I mean, he wasn't even on the bench. He was.
I think
he's squad.
saying, yeah, absolutely. But I think he was admitting that the players are a bit undercooked. Well,
yeah,
that's your job to make them cooked, Gary. I'm sorry, but I think that, look, the side's a very good side. I think QPR, I watched them again last night just to get a bit of realism. It was pretty much the same side that played against us to start with. Jordan Archer making a rare appearance
in public.
In public, shall we say? And
he's seen about as often as Prince Andrew is these days.
Yes, absolutely, and probably with the same strike rate. It's a bit. They keep the ball well, and a hot day, an atmosphere, and burning yourself out a bit lively. They done well to get themselves back in the game. They probably deserved a point, but they're being tipped as dark horses.
Well, this is what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, Mike. I mean, I was listening to a few podcasts. I think it was the Football League one, and I can't remember which one it was, but they were all tipping QPR as contenders. And yes, they worked their way back into that game. And second half, you might say they edged it, but it was only just edged it. It was a disappointing second half, really, in fairness. But
not a lot of football in the second half.
I think mental exhaustion. I mean, I felt exhausted watching it on my iPad. So I don't know, it was in the ground, but I think everyone must have been, the batteries were drained. But I mean, Michael, QPR was promotion contenders. How did they look to you, mate? Did they look that good? I thought we kept them quiet. One or two chances.
So. Yeah, I don't think they're promotion from that performance against us. I don't think they're promotion candidates, but I think football's changing, and the problem you've got is there was a survey that came out, and I shared it with you guys, didn't I? And I shared it with
it's showing some light.
A lot of people seem to just follow stats and opinions these days rather than the actual game itself, and I think that if you've got people who are stat-based people. And I do rate him as a striker, but I think if you've got a Charlie Austin in your team, you are always going to be fancied even before a ball's kicked because he's just a good striker at that level. He looked a little bit off colour for me when he was playing Charlie Austin, but I don't know about you, Harry, and I don't know if you picked up on iFollow as well, Nick, but there was a few times he did seem to sort of like ghost into the box and the edge of the area quite well.
Yeah. He's a decent player. You'd have him in any, I'd have him on your wall.
Of course, yeah. You'd have it. I'd have Charlie Austin Millwall side tomorrow if we could afford it. He's just a class player.
It was quite fun to abuse him for his 60-minute cameo, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but also
every time it went slightly quiet, someone would shout, "Remember Swindon, you cunt." It's quite nice.
But one thing you can say, and this, I mean, attacking wise, they may not be promotion candidates at the moment, but like we're talking about our defence, but you said there, Nick, and what a lot of pundits have said, first 35 minutes it was all Millwall, but we only scored once,
well, there's a problem, and I think you made that point, Michael.
We didn't really do a lot, and once again with Benica Fobe, he put in a lot of energy and he looked very disappointed when he got substituted off, but he didn't actually really do too much, did he? And I don't
really think we gave him a lot to play with.
No, exactly. I think the service to him wasn't great. And I wrote it up afterwards in a little write up I did. The balls were either long balls that the head defenders were easily knocking down, or they were just too long that he just couldn't get on the end of. And it would have been a bit more interesting if you see it actually play to his feet or slip around the back of the back line. But you talking about Jake Cooper there, chaps. One thing I was going to ask. All right, Jake Cooper's fully fit. After that QPR game, who'd you drop? Because I think that back line was superb.
Wallace would be the obvious one, as Harry said there. I mean, just to dwell on defence for a moment, I really like the look of the boy Ballard. I know he's a loan player. He's only ours for a year.
Hopefully not. Hopefully we sign him.
Well, let's keep our fingers crossed. And anything else you've got available, listeners?
Well, that's the thing is I get what you're saying about how good QPR are. They can only beat what's in front of them, and we're fancied by a few people. We're not. I'd say in the national, you've got sort of the ones on the first page that sort of go to 9-1, and then you get the next lump in the middle. And I think we're sort of that second lump in the middle of, if they run their best, they could be there or thereabouts. And I generally believe we are at that level. I think we're very good defensively. I think we've got a very, very good midfield. I know we've said, about what we lack. The only thing where we really lack is going forward. In terms
it's that killer striker, isn't it?
Absolutely. You know? But I do think that Afobe has made us better. I do believe that is a different type of striker than what we've got in a Bradshaw or a Smith. I'm not even going to mention Bob Farson, because I mean, why would you? I think we are nearly there. I can see the idea that the Saville, Leonard, Kifton Bell midfield for me would be my three, but he seems to like Evans, which is fine.
I thought Evans did okay on Saturday.
I thought he tired really badly.
He did tire. Yeah.
I think the thing is with Evans is he's not as good on the ball as Leonard.
No.
He's probably not. He's probably better on the ball than Kifton Bell, but he doesn't read the game as well as Kifton Bell does, and that sometimes puts us a little bit on the back foot. Hutchinson seemed to be very, very confident at playing with Ballard next to him. He looked very, very assured, which was nice to see, because I think sometimes if Hutchinson doesn't like the person he's playing next to, he tends to be a liability. But yeah, I think there was a lot more positives from that game than negatives. I know people are falling off their chairs all over South London as I say this.
This is Achtung Millwall you're listening to, listeners, by the way.
Yeah,
and this is Harry Warren, I can vouch for him.
Yeah, but there are positives to take. I think we're one player light. I think we are probably maybe two players light, but I'd like a number 10. I'd like a creative number 10 to sit in behind and take some weight away from Jed Wallace in terms of the creativity, and basically allow Jed to go where he wants and do what he wants, really.
Tremendous performance on Saturday, boys, by the way, Jed Wallace.
Absolutely.
I mean, the goal was magnificent. I mean, we're nearly a week afterwards, so everyone would have seen it by now. Yeah, I mean, what a strike and what a finish. And what a one. I know Gary Rowett took umbrage at the celebration, where they've run back to the Millwall fans at the opposite end, for anyone that hasn't followed this little storyline. But Michael, I mean, if you ever want a day where fans and club are at one, that was it. And I think that's if the bond needed cementing, which it didn't really, it showed Jed as the honest player that he is, and he'll give everything whilst he's in a Millwall shirt. Who knows where he's going to go or what's going to happen? He's entitled to make his own living, and as best he can for him and his family. But I just love to see that. I mean, that must have been wonderful to experience in the moment, that celebration.
Yeah, that goal. Honestly, I know I've said it a few times as well, but it was like, I'm not sure because it was so far away, and so many of us had so many of the amber nectar.
Refreshments.
Refreshments of the Irish stout kind for myself.
Yeah. But it seemed to sort of be in slow motion. It sort of like hit the back of the net, and I sort of stood there, and then everyone else was stood there, and then you had like a little ripple of a cheer, and then a second later.
Well, it absorbs, doesn't it? But I mean,
it was just absolute carnage. But I mean, he said it at the fans forum, didn't he? Gary Rowett, about Jed, that he obviously wants to stay, and it just seems that they're just double checking that those T's have been crossed and those I's have been dotted before anything is signed. But like you say, the connection that Jed Wallace has got with his fan base is just absolutely unreal.
Yeah, I agree.
It is, and for a player like I said, who people have been saying, will he, won't he stay or not? I mean, you if you want to go or you want out. The amount of times you've heard other pros who say, when it's a cup game, I've got the flu when it's an FA Cup weekend because
they don't want to play.
I don't want to be cup tied and all this.
Yeah.
Jed Wallace is running himself into the ground, scoring absolute worldies, and running the length of a pitch to celebrate with a bunch of fans who really, under COVID regs, he shouldn't be going anywhere near. So
yeah.
So and like you say, Nick, if he does go on and he wants to go on because egg on our face if he does end up going, then fair play to him. But You wouldn't be able to replace him.
Absolutely.
No, that's it.
Harry,
I always thought that, I didn't think he'd go this season. Did I think? Well, I thought he'd go at the end of this season. If I'm being honest, I still think that will happen.
You think he's going to see the contract out and maybe go for nothing at the end of the season?
Go for nothing. I think because Millwall realised that what we'd sell him for isn't worth selling him for. It's too late in the day anyway. And if Jed gets the opportunity to join, he wins both ways. Then he sees his contract out, gives everything to the end of the season, whether or not it's successful in us getting. If we get promoted, he wins because he gets to be in the Premier League shirt next season, and there's no way we're going to be able to afford anyone that's anywhere near his level. So we're not going to. He's still going to be the star man. If he doesn't go up as our player, then he'll probably be snapped up by either one of the teams that come down from the Premier League as a good investment, or he'll go up with a team that goes up as a free transfer. And as we know, free transfers seem to be quite in vogue at the moment.
Seems to be the way the football world's going, Harry, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, the thing is as well, it's because the wages are so high now that the transfer fees, everyone know, the contracts are. What did they say when the Bosman rule come in? They expected what we've got now to come in after the Bosman rule, that transfers would have been a thing of the past. So.
Yeah, no, that's fair on the players. I don't have a problem with it. It's what everyone else in this life expects as normality. So fair play to them. I just want to touch on the midfield battle. I mean, Michael, in your blog on the MSC blog, very good by the way. If I can pay you a compliment, very very well structured. But you mentioned the midfield selection, and you mentioned Billy Mitchell, and the whole battle for midfield. I mean, when you look at, the midfield Saturday was Evans, Saville and Keefton Belt. Shout out for Keefton Belt boys as well, because I think he's another player that's really responding to the roar of the crowd. He looks like he loves it, and
Dutch Terrier like.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously he's been around the track, so he's been around his circuits a few times, so he's been there, seen, done it. I mean, the boy Ballard will only have seen crowds at Arsenal, and I think he played for Blackpool on loan, so he's used to a drum and them singing about, let me go home, or whatever that song is. Not the real deal. So that if it's an electric sense when you find yourself in a place like both of these players. I mean, Ballard caught a yellow card. I think it was first half, if memory serves.
Yeah, it's very early, wasn't it?
But I think he was just carried away with it, Michael. I think it's like it's like a surge. I mean, he wouldn't have come across that atmosphere before. Certainly not Arsenal. I mean, I don't know how much first team action you've seen.
Danny Mack got caught with one as well.
Well, he was another one. And
when you
Millwall fan, for crying out loud,
As he went into it, I thought, oh, this is ending.
He's going to go.
I saw it coming for a month away. I was like, oh, this is.
I thought he's going to go off and he'll join you all in the away end, the school end stand or whatever it's called there.
To be honest, they might as well start doing that. With
Old school.
With Thompson, Danny Mack, and Billy Mitchell. If they're not picked, they might as well come in the front row of the away end.
Absolutely, do
they'll be loved anyway. They'll buy him a beer. What are you, injured? Yeah, I'm injured. Right, buy him a beer. It's all right. It's fine. But no.
I was going to say, I think the thing is as well, sorry to cut in there, Harry, you were saying about the midfield there. Towards the end of last season, we were playing like a sort of three up front, weren't we? Like a 5-2-3 type thing. And that's what I was saying. And that's why, if you think about it, the season ended with Mitchell and sort of Evans as the sort of two when we played the two in midfield. I think that this injury to Bennett has sort of coincidentally made it now a 5-3-2. But like I sort of wrote in my little write-up, at the end of last season, as much as everyone liked Clifton Bell, and yes, he was carrying a knock, everyone was going, Mitchell starts every game.
Yeah.
And then when Saville came back, it was like, well, it's going to be Mitchell and Saville, because you can't drop Mitchell of how good he's been, and George Saville's like the returning messiah. But like you say, Clifton Bell's been absolutely brilliant since he's been back. Evans does, in my opinion, offer enough to have a starting place. And I was actually a little, I'll tell you what, it sounds like blasphemy on this pod, doesn't it? But I felt a little bit disappointed with George Saville's performance. So, like I said, you might as well tear up the sort of plan and think again, because everyone now in that midfield is within a shout of starting every week. But I think with Bennett getting that injury, you can now put in that third. But again, who sits out then? Who sits out?
I think the problem is they're much of a muchness in terms of, you've got Clifton Bell's probably the standout DM out of all of them, the defensive midfielder.
Certainly at the moment.
For his stacking ability. I think Leonard is more like Saville and Leonard are probably similar as the best ball carriers. Mitchell's Williams-like in the sense of playing a pass and getting about the pitch. Thompson, we haven't even mentioned Ben Thompson.
No, we haven't mentioned Ben Thompson, Harry.
Ben
No.
Thompson is more probably...
He's probably gone his way to Waterloo to catch the train down to Portsmouth Harbour, mate.
I don't. Well, that's the rumour. I mean, there was a mad rumour Tuesday night while we were playing. I saw it on Twitter. I don't know if anyone else saw it. Their left winger, Ronan Curtis, is it? Apparently,
was that the boy? No, it wasn't the boy who scored the goal, was it?
No, it weren't the boy who scored the goal. That was Fairchild. This other kid, some Twitter account. Now, I don't give much credence to this Twitter account because I thought, well, if that was the agreed deal of a Thompson Curtis swap, one, they wouldn't have played them both in the game, which they ended up doing.
You wouldn't have thought, no.
And two, you would have almost, or unless they were trying to give Thompson a send off or so on. But then I don't get it. I think Thompson will stay. I generally believe that we won't get rid of anyone else. I do think we may have a dabble in the loan market for either a left winger or a striker that can play out on the left. Because of the Bennett injury more than anything. I think they will find a £500 note down the back of the sofa. And I cannot believe how many players are still out of contract. I cannot believe it. It's unbelievable. I mean, Aaron a lot better clued up on stuff like this than me, but there are a hell of a lot of Championship players that are not with clubs. And I don't know whether or not the fat has been trimmed to a level. I mean, Derby are paying £5,000 a week to the players they signed the other week until December.
Well, that's a basket case in it.
I mean, that's mad that they're paying £5,000 a week for players that they don't really want, if you understand. So it shows what the money must be like. And they're at the bottom end of a financial fair play regulation. So it shows what we're up against, really, with a pinch of salt to everyone else. But
the podcast I was listening to has just come into my mind, chaps. It was the Athletics Championship roundup. That's they're very good, actually.
I've just subscribed to the Athletic for a month for 99. Oh, it's 99.
Yeah,
for the podcast.
Very good. I mean, I tend not to read it as much as I feel I should when I'm paying for it, but it's only £1 a month, so it's not exactly a killer.
Yeah,
but podcasts are very good, Harry. On
yeah,
that
they
show.
are very good. I mean, I listened to. What did you mention? You mentioned. Funny enough, you mentioned it on another pod. It was the fan app that Arsenal are part of in Inter.
Socios. That's
right.
This
Socios do a podcast. He used to do remember when Sky had La Liga, they used to have like an English bloke who played in Spain or lived in Spain.
Yeah, Michael Robinson, I think it wasn't it? Or is it Irish?
Like
I think he's Irish.
Yeah, Irish or whatever. And he done his own pod, and it was about Messi, like the deal and why Barcelona are so screwed and why financial fair play in Spain is a big deal and so on, and the differences. And it was like an hour and a half.
Yeah,
and
no, it's good.
They kept plugging this Socios, and I literally thought to myself, this is a new form of like sort of advertising within yourself. It's like once you're here, it's like, oh, you'll get exclusive content. Well, I'm all right with this content. You're giving me 2 hours of content. What am I paying for to get extra? It feels
we won't be going down that road on Achtung Millwall. I can tell you that much, dear listeners. You won't get any
Patreons.
No Patreons, no. Was it Fan Hub or some
Hub?
No, none of that. No, I mean you'll get what you get from us, and we'll do it when we want. As often as we like. That's how it works on this show. I just want to close
for charity,
and we do it for charity. I will mention the Lions Food Hub shortly. I just want to close the QPR game. It's got a post here from Jake Sanders. Good to have Jake back. Who knows how much longer Jed Wallace will be at Millwall. I hope it's long term, he says in brackets. But that goal and that celebration today was simply iconic. The bond between players and fans was never more evident. I like that. And that's repeated by Mill Dolbs. He's been supporting Mill for over 30 years, but seeing Jed Wallace race over to celebrate his goal with us is right up there with his favourite moments. Passion shown by the players and us in that moment was insane, and that would be the word that I would describe Saturday as, Michael. It struck me, certainly the opening phase, as insane.
Yeah, carnage. That's the word I use. But
I
like insane as well.
How are your bruises? I mean, I'm going to give Mike Hayden a shout out, Scalak, and his brother Andy, whose Freezer Crab podcast is quite very, very good.
It is good. Well worth a listen.
But anyway, well worth it. Another plug for another podcast, but I don't.
I'll have to dig out the old advert. It might be out of date now, but I'll run it anyway for this show.
Yeah, it was very good. I've listened to a few of them today at work. Very good. But anyway, the story was so, like Michael said, we'd all had a few drinks, and
Yeah, I got
I
that
sort
feeling.
of saw the net rustle, and I thought, oh, that's in. But it took like it seemed like time seemed to slow down. It was like something out of like The Flash or something. Like you're moving, everyone else around you is moving at 3 times the speed. And all I got was these. I mean, Mike and his brother, for anyone who doesn't know, are both over 6 foot. I'm pushing 6 foot, and they're like a good 6'4". Had me on the floor. I got my brother who's 5'8", if he's lucky, to me right hand side. I'm trying to hug him and go over. I ended up on the floor. I literally ended up down on the seat. I've got these two over the top. My back, the bruise on my back was unbelievable, but it was well worth it. I mean, I would have gone mad if we'd scored the second, but so it's not on my favourite. It's up there, but it's not on my favourite goal. My favourite goal of all time. But I totally get Dogs' the sentiment behind it. I mean, if we win Saturday, we'll have 4 points from.
I know,
from
it'd be a good start, wouldn't it?
I mean, thank God they've lost Adam Armstrong.
Armstrong. I was just going to say that the Blackburn have lost one there. Well, he was certainly always a threat whenever we played them.
Trick when he played for Coventry. He sort of beat David Fall from about 50 yards, didn't he? I seem to remember. But I've always rated him. I think he'll do really well in the Premier League, to be honest. He's one of those players that I expected someone like West Ham to take a punt on. But yeah, I maybe playing them at the right time. Mowbray's team's difficult to play against. Hopefully, Gary, in the words of hopefully the Gary Rowett revolution continues, and it'd be lovely to win at the Den, wouldn't it? Just to get.
Oh, mate, I'm going to be back there on Saturday myself. I'm just going to take a quick break, dear listeners, because we've got 2 voicemail messages from Barry Moon. Big thank you to Barry. And a mysterious character called the Pom, who's left us a couple of messages. Do leave your voicemails on 0208 144 0232. It's always welcome to get messages. If you want to send me anything through if you got my WhatsApp, my mobile, send me a WhatsApp. That's great. I don't want to stick my mobile online, so if you give us a shout on, on Twitter, and if I deem you trustworthy with my personal details. You know what I mean.
You have to sign your data protection.
Yeah, well, you got to prove. You got to establish your credentials. Do send me content. I mean, it's great. I mean, I really enjoy it. We've used a couple already in this show, so I'm just going to break away now for the Pom and Barry, and then we'll come back, boys, and we'll just briefly touch on Millwall 2, Pompey 1 in the Caribou Cup.
Hello.
Hello, Nick Barrymore here. I'm the only one to talk to you on your message. Pleased to see you on the men, mate. Really need you. You're the glue that holds us all together, mate. We need you. But I'm quietly optimistic about this season. George Saville coming back, hopefully, will be the signing we need. I loved him here before. It's a shame we've lost Mason Bennett for a few weeks with that injury. That it gives someone else an opportunity. I'm really hoping that young Mahoney steps up, because I do rate the lad, but I think he might need a good run in the side. If he can get his act together, I think we've got a good one there. If we can keep Jed, it'd be great, but I don't know what's going to happen there. I think it depends on what season we have with Jed. I think by Christmas, if we're pushing near the top, he might sign a new contract. It depends. I think he's looking. I can't see him getting a Premier League move. I don't think he's that good. I think it's probably one of the top sides in this division to be looking to sign him. But there you go. He's been a great servant to the club, and I wish him all the best if he does go. But it's lovely to be back, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully to be able to see you down the Den soon. And as you say, it's very emotional to get back. I will be there Tuesday. I can't make the Rangers game, but I'll definitely be there Tuesday just to get down there again to see what the place looks like. Anyway, look after yourself, mate, and thanks for the programmes. They've been great. Cheers, mate.
Hello, Nick. Just listening to the episode from the other day. You was moaning. Well, not moaning, but you said people weren't using your voicemail. So here's the bomb. Just wanted to say, come on, you Lions. Looking forward to the new season. I think we can get 5th. I'm an optimist. Hopefully we fuck Bodvarsson off, because he's absolute dog shit. And up we go, mate. Premier League, cause carnage for a year, get paid loads of dough, and then back to our usual routine. Come on, you Lions. See you lot at QPR.
Achtung, Millwall.
So, welcome back, dear listeners. I didn't go to the game. I didn't get a chance to see anything of it last night, chaps. I've only seen the goals on the club did like quite a nice video, low level video, and I've seen like the 1 minute 30 clip or whatever it is of the actual goals. It was a poor start. I mean, to concede quite a spectacular goal is not what you want against Portsmouth, but. From what I've read and from what I've picked up watching the highlights, a decent comeback, and in the end, enough was done to get through to the second round and the glittering prize, Harry, of Cambridge United at home.
Oh, what how much they going to charge for that one?
I hope a tenner.
I don't think it should be a tenner, Nick. I
No?
make this. Well, it should be okay. I'll accept it being a tenner for adults, but the kids should be free, right? It's the school holidays.
I'd go with that. Yeah.
It's school holidays. Open the old ground out, make it nice, get the kids interested. Do that. Surely, a tenner for the adults is going to pay for the kids to come. 20 quid for the mum and dad to turn up. You've sold 2 tickets compared to 1, and you've got 4 bums on seats, which looks better on the highlights program. You know, it's knowing your audience. People are, some people are still struggling with COVID. Some people still haven't gone back to work properly, or so on and so forth. People lost loads of money. Some people, know your audience, and
no, I agree. I think a deal that includes kids for free. I mean, even if you're charging more for the adult, and the kid comes for nothing. If you must charge 18, make it that kind of a child for nothing, or something of that kind. I mean, Michael. I mean, nice finishes. Both goals looked like decent finishes. First was a Scott Malone rebound, kind of slammed home. I think it's from the edge of the 6-yard box.
Score tap-ins apparently.
And then a nice finish by George Saville. Kind of an odd goal in a way because he kind of side-footed it on the volley, which you don't often see. But nice to progress. I mean, I can't get terribly excited over the Caribou Cup, but it's nice to go through it, isn't it?
Yeah, and more importantly as well, it goes back to that thing that Harry said at the beginning, and we touched on about the fitness.
Minutes.
You don't want to have. Yeah, you don't have loads and loads and loads of games. Don't get me wrong, because you start getting a bit of a threadbare squad if you pick up some injuries. But especially these early games when there's still a little bit of rust and a little bit of dust that has settled on the team, to sort of blow that off, if you will. Yeah, I'm a bit like you, Nick. In truth, I mean, even when the League Cup finals on telly, I don't, and inevitably we're not in it. I don't really sit down and watch it because it's not really something that.
No, I wouldn't say no to a run. I wouldn't say no to a cup run if we can get close to the. It's not the Twin Towers, is it? It's the Arch of Wembley.
It's the Arch, yeah.
Twin Towers are long gone. Well, I am. I'm in 1999 still, chaps. But I mean, it would be nice to get a run. But I think it's more the most important thing is just to get a win under our belts, and I think that's a good thing. 2,000 Pompey turned out there though. That was 7,000 crowds. So that weren't bad, was it?
Yeah, that's not bad at all. And I mean the selection gets me as well because I thought that the side that he put out was again a very strong side for a League Cup game. I know that some managers, depending on how big their squad's in, pretty much puts out the entire second string, didn't they? But we still had a lot of first team players playing. But it's like I said on our little WhatsApp chat, wasn't it? That I would have been in. Well, it was interesting the sort of position with Thompson, because if you have got a player who you don't know if he wants to go or if we keep him or whatever, but you don't want to put things in place that's actually going to potentially impede him going unless it's to a side who's already at these competitions, because you've now sort of cup tied him, haven't you? So that'll be a selection of games he can't play.
Yeah.
So
it's going to be an intriguing storyline, the Ben Thompson.
Yeah, the League Cup isn't a be-all and end-all to most teams, and a transfer isn't going to be decided on whether who you get in the second round of the Caribou Cup. But this also goes back to a little bit of the pre-season we spoke about with the Thompsons and players like that. And it always sounds like I'm having a dig at the poor boy. I do like him, but how much game time is he going to get if you give him a decent run in the pre-season and you're giving him sort of minutes in the cup? Is he actually going to feature at all in the league?
Yeah, no, it's going to be. I mean, that's the question for Ben to decide on, really, isn't it? I do agree with you. It's hard to see unless there are severe injuries to that midfield. It's going to be hard to see him getting a regular start in at this level of the Championship now. But
I mean, the only way he'll play is if he change system. He's not really a centre midfielder. I mean, his best spell for Millwall was when he was arriving late as as the 10, believe it or not. That's when he scored all his goals and kept us up that season. I think Saville's been kind of signed to do that. I don't know whether or not we were going to change when Bennett was fit to maybe play a bit differently, maybe a 4-4-2 or maybe, a 4-5-1, depending sort of thing. But I feel like he's a good squad player to have. I think he does offer.
Just whether he'll settle for that, Harry, isn't it? It's whether he can settle for that.
I mean, I'll be honest. If he can't go to a top end League One club, if you're Ben Thompson and you're a Millwall fan, and if you're willing to sit on the bench and you've still got a contract, are you really going to want to leave unless you go for more money and a guaranteed first team spot at Portsmouth? Now, would he have got a guaranteed first team spot with Kenny Jackett, but will he get a guaranteed first team spot with
under Cowley,
under the Cowleys?
Yeah.
These are the kind of questions. They're only human as well. You've got to do what's best for them. I know it probably might be the best for Millwall if Ben leaves and we get some wages, but we'd like Bob Varson to leave, but he ain't going to leave unless we either pay him off or someone is blind and that desperate for a striker. It's just a very weird situation Millwall find themselves in with. It's strange to be sitting with too many midfielders. Like, we could have an injury crisis. I think we'd be okay.
In midfield, we certainly can. Yeah. Maybe not so much up front. I mean, just without dwelling on the Athletics podcast, which I must have flogged about 3 or 4 times now. Maybe I'm gonna see if I can get some kind of deal where I mention it all the time. But they did say most of the business will obviously take place between now and the end of the transfer window, which I think is August the 31st. I think that's the date.
Yeah, I don't like this. We've gone back to what we had a couple of years ago, haven't we? Wasn't there a deal before COVID? I seem to remember that it was the season that Saville and Wallace nearly left because the transfer window was still open. And then the year after, the transfer window wasn't open because they didn't want clubs to be start the season with one team and then necessarily sell or buy. Apparently it was something to do with giving the Premier League teams equal footing with Europe or some.
Yeah, well, they're a huge disadvantage, those Premier League teams. The game's not geared enough in their favour.
Yeah, they need more help. I mean, clearly, all those parachute payments are not going to help West Brom. Norwich or
Bournemouth,
else Bournemouth jump straight back up at the first time of asking, clearly. But it's a weird. The league is shit this year, by the way. I've watched a lot of Championship teams so far, as much as physically possible, and I genuinely find myself thinking to myself, if we can't fucking get out this league this year, then I might as well just accept that we're always going to be in the second division.
No pressure on the club. Harry's put the hex on
us. I don't care if we don't go. That's a lie. I do care if we
don't.
You
do care.
I don't. I just want to have a go at it. If you get to, like the season when we had with Harris, where we nearly went up, even finishing 8th in that season, it didn't feel like we finished 8th. It almost felt like the Fulham game was a playoff because of the way how the league was. All we want, it's about having a go at the right time. And I generally believe that we've the building blocks are in place. He's built the defence. He's built the attack. Maybe it's time for just a little bit of garnish on the top for the up front, and we'll be there. And we're that close. Have a bit of, have some courage of your convictions, Millwall. Go and realise that if we've got Jed till the end of the season, you are going to have to replace Jed in a way, i.e., not by replacing Jed, but replacing what Jed gives you. So try and find that player now before we're, without Jed, shall we say.
Michael, I just want to mention, Paul Llewellyn's actually flagged him up. George Saville versus Portsmouth. We said how, I don't know, disappointed we were on Saturday, but he was just a little bit under par maybe Saturday, but scored a goal against Pompey. And Paul Llewellyn's flagged up his stats from the near post site, which is showing him with passing accuracy 86.4%. I should be really impressed with this stuff, but it just passes me by. But I thought I'd mention it. 8 tackles, aerial battles 1, goal 1, shots 4. As Paul says, he's going to be a crucial player this season. I think that's, if we can get the best out of George Saville, then we will be a very decent side in that championship.
Yeah, and it's what I said after the Gillingham game. I think that he's arguably with Jed. He's arguably our most important player, because when he's ticking and it's working right, the rest of the team tick and work right, doesn't it? It's just good that we've managed to get that time machine working back to 4 years ago when the whole team revolved around how good Saville and Wallace are, wasn't it? But
if it ain't broke, mate, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I'd say the word underwhelmed after the.
Underwhelmed is a good choice. Best. Yeah, I like that.
Because we know his ability. We know how good he is, and if it takes him maybe another week or two or the odd League Cup game to get fit again, then fair play. But it shows how much we know about football. We're sat here going, oh yeah, he don't look all that George Saville, does he? Then it's like 85% passing accuracy, this accuracy. But it was no good for where I was sat at QPR after 4 pints, was he, Paul?
And rest assured, dear listeners, I'm not going to go down the route of a stats-based podcast, because I'll just turn myself inside out trying to worry about expected goals and percentage passes. I did like TT's post on thoughts after the Tuesday night win over Pompey. This is Tony Thomas. Thoughts about Mill last night. The pitch looks superb, so great job, says Tony. That was relayed, I think, during the close season, so I'm going to be interested to see what the pitch looks like on Saturday. The goal music has returned, Harry. He's not TT's not a fan, but do you like a bit of goal music after we score a goal, or are you more of a purist on that front? I know what I think you're going to say, but I thought I'd invite it. Ask.
I'm not sure about the goal music, actually. I think
it don't bother me. I mean,
it doesn't.
Some get very angry over it, don't they?
Yeah, I think I'm a little bit apathetic towards it, which is unusual for me to have.
Like you?
Yeah, exactly.
What's going on?
It's always been there, therefore it doesn't. It's just what I know. I do understand when people think it's a bit muggy. I understand what you think, but it's probably not needed in Millwall versus Leeds. It's probably not needed.
Yeah,
but it might be needed.
It might liven up the Cambridge United game, mightn't it?
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
know.
That's kind of it, and it's for the kids. It's not for you. If you've had a beer, it's not for you. Let's put it that way.
I mean, on the same subject, in a sense, I mean, TT also mentions that I think these were the obstructions. There was chicken wire at the front of the Dockers lower, and that's gone apparently. That was I think to prevent people climbing across easily, at least, and get on the pitch. That's gone apparently.
Well, that was never there for a long period of time. That wasn't there, and then they put that up about maybe 18 months before COVID, which was weird. But
yeah. I mean, it didn't stop everyone getting on the pitch at Wembley. They had chicken wire there, didn't they? And
well, you just go up the middle, the emergency exit up the middle. They don't, believe it or not, they're not allowed by law to cover that bit in chicken wire. So people just walk down that bit.
See, fans of other clubs should tune in to this Millwall podcast for tips on how to invade the pitch at Wembley. You go up the middle. This is the only show that will give you these kind of
This is the only show with live
tips on pitch invasions. Michael, was it Angelo Peretti? Michelangelo Peretti beer has been exchanged for Carlsberg, and TT says meh, M-E-H, meh. I don't know if you say it, or meh. I don't know how you say that, but were you a fan of the Peretti? I think Mike H, he liked a drop of the Angelo Peretti, didn't he?
In the end of the day, Nick, anything's better than the Fosters they used to have, isn't it?
No, Carlsberg is not better than Foster.
So you're favouring Peretti over Carlsberg, H?
I like Peretti.
I hate Carlsberg.
As a man who shops in Aldi and Lidl, I think Peretti sounds like a poor man's beer Moretti. So I feel quite continental when I'm sat in the cold blow lane end.
It sounds like the kind of snide pair of trousers you might bought thinking they would make like Farrah slacks back in the 90s, only they're not. They're Perettis. They're it's like fake Gabici or something. I don't know. It had that kind of feel to it. But I mean, I don't. When I'm going to football, I'm driving, so I'm not drinking.
Fucking hell, beer's beer. Come on, get over it, TT. It's like these people who moan about how blue the Millwall shirt is. It's Millwall playing blue, and we drink warm beer. Get over it.
Plus, I'm on a drugs cocktail these days, chaps. So I can't touch alcohol without falling asleep on you. So I'm not much used to the man of beast. £17 for a ticket, he says, too high. I think we've probably all agreed that to some level. And the toilets were flooded, and it's great to be back, says TT. So it's good to know. And there was a thing doing the rounds about a toilet was out of action, similar kind of thing to the fitness levels. I mean, you wonder what's the stadium staff been doing since the return of some degree of normality. If the toilet's out of action, they just looked at it for 3 months.
Well, if it's not fixed now, it's never going to be fixed, is it? That's kind of the point.
I'm wondering whether the bird shit's got moved. I'm going to be interested in the bird shit up in my corner.
Well, I mean, this is coming from a club, and I know my like obviously working for the MSC, but this is coming from a club that going back to the QPR game, still wasn't sure about ticketing on the Friday.
Yeah, because you didn't get your ticket till late, did you? Was it the day before?
Tweet in. Is anyone still waiting for their tickets for QPR?
Yeah, please let us know.
Because it's gone.
Well, the best thing was that even trying, not just the fact that the tickets when they were posted didn't turn up in time or did, but were cutting it very, very fine. The actual day that the tickets went on sale, the club was saying tickets are now on sale, and 2,000 Millwall fans were trying to buy tickets and they weren't showing, and the club were basically calling you liars. It was the best thing ever, because I'm sitting in a queue and I've got Twitter open on my phone and I'm refreshing, trying to get these tickets to show up. They're like, they are now on the website, and they showed the screenshot of them being on the website. It's like everyone's sending in screenshots of them not being on the website.
You know what? I have to say as well, thanks to the club's ticketing and responses on Twitter, there are now 3 important historic names of this club. It will be Barry Kitchener, Neil Harris, and Shona Groves.
I was just going to mention. I was actually going to nominate. I was going to nominate Shona for sainthood. Saint Shona of Bermondsey for some of the work that I saw going in. I'm following all this from the holiday cottage down there, miles away. So, but I can appreciate what she's done there. So Saint Shona.
What's the church called?
Rename that.
Road.
The Church of St. Shona.
Yeah, we'll
Bermondsey.
just rename that. So
Worker of miracles. She changed Peretti to wine.
The Groves Chapel of Birmingham, Chapel of Remembrance.
I had visions of it being like collect your tickets at QPR. That's going to turn into a riot.
But they said the best one was like, if you ain't got your tickets, let us know. But you're going to have to pick them up at QPR. And then QPR put a tweet out saying, you got to be here by 1:30 because the police want to put a cordon in.
That's going to work well.
Oh, it would have.
Oh, there we are. Anyways,
you have missed all this. This is what you've missed from life. When you look at, what have you missed? I've missed the chaotic, loving, slightly naive football club.
All those months of nothing going on to COVID, and now, as I think the TT's captured it well. It's good to be back. That much is for sure.
Achtung, Millwall.
Michael, you have any? You have some non-league notes. I've written Michael's non-league notes. Did you have anything that you wanted to say about Eref and and Fisher?
Just touching on what we were talking about the other day with our non-league review. Basically, we're going to look at some non-league clubs this season, because obviously with things like COVID, some of these little non-league clubs are struggling.
They need support, mate. They need support. Yeah,
of course. And also we're saying about MSC things here and there. One of the reasons why the MSC has partnered with these local football clubs is, if you've got examples of the QPR game, you say 15,000 people want to get tickets, only 2,000 can, but you fancy physically going to a game of football. There's a lot of non-league clubs that you can get into. As part of the membership. Again, I'm not using this as a quickly go and become an MSC member and like that. But what I'm saying is that's one of the reasons why the MSC is partnering with these teams as well to help them out. So three of the ones we're partnered with are all in the same division. So I thought it'd be interesting to sort of keep that going. Yep. They are actually in if I can find the name of the league, it is the Southern Counties East Football League, which and they're in the Premier Division, which a bit of a mouthful, but I just thought I'd have a quick run through some of the results. So our beloved Fisher, we'll start with them. They're just nearby. They're actually currently, after one game, you never look at the table after one game, but on this show we do.
We do, yeah.
To fill the airways. They've played one game. They're currently 5th.
Okay.
With 3 points. They actually beat Rustle 5-0 on the 31st of July. So
good result.
Halfway line and
I think Dave Anderson, I've seen him, and Mill halfway line. They're regulars.
Yeah, a lot of them go
at
down there. So
Fisher.
that'll be interesting. So their next away game actually is on the 14th of August. They're at Sheppey United. Now, I'm not sure how many of you guys or Nick or Harry are into the non-league scene, but Sheppey a few years ago were actually doing quite well. They've put a bit of money into their ground, and they're always a team that you sort of look out for. So even though it's early in the season, Sheppey against Fisher will be quite a big game there. They unfortunately just got knocked out of the FA Cup as well, Fisher, recently in the extra preliminary round. With those teams, they obviously enter very, very early, don't they?
Yeah.
We'll touch on with Erith Town at the moment as well, just quickly. After 2 games, they are currently mid-table, right smack in the middle in 10th, 1 win from their 2 games. They lost to Glebe, formerly managed by Gary Alexander.
Yes, indeed. Down at Sid Cup, Glebe, aren't they? Is it Foxbury? Foxbury, around there?
Yeah, lovely little ground down in Glebe, actually, down the sort of Chislehurst way. And that was after they beat Lordswood 4-1. So some big scoring games involving Erith Town, if anyone wants to get down there. And as we said, in a couple of weeks' time, on the 18th of August, I'll actually be there for that game. It's Erith Town versus Erith and Belvedere. So any
local derby, the Erith derby. Magnifico.
Yeah. Lovely couple of clubs as well. Through personal things, through the MSC and things as well to do with like the local scouts that my son goes to. They're really, really good in the local community area, so do look out for them. And Dave Martin, he signed for Erith and Belvedere recently, didn't he?
He did, didn't he? And is it who's Jamie Philpott? I think he's playing for Glebe, if memory serves. Yeah. Obviously, scorer of a goal on the last day for the Lions just a few years ago up at Wolves. I think Jamie Philpott on one of his early.
Yeah, that's right. And also as well with Sheppey, who were playing Fisher in the same division. Tom Bradshaw's brother was playing at Sheppey. I'm not sure if he's still there now. So there's quite the Millwall connection with these non-league clubs. If fans obviously ever want to pop down. Erith Town, they did go through to the next round of the preliminary sections of the FA Cup. They beat Sherwater 2-0 away, for those who are in the know. And also Erith and Belvedere, we'll touch on to them now. They've got through to the next round of the FA Cup after winning in extra time. But interestingly, they are just... where are they in the league? Let's get this league table up. They're actually in second place, just below Glebe on goal difference. They have, if I can find their run of fixtures, they have Glebe on the 30th of August. But in their 2 games they've played so far in the league, they won their first one 5-1 and their second game 3-1. So that's an awful
decent start.
Yeah, so you're always sort of guaranteed attacking football if you go and watch them play. And now I've said that the Erith and Belvedere Erith Town game will fucking finish 0-0, won't it?
I went to Erith and Belvedere. I used to live in not far from Upper Belvedere around there, and I went down there one day. This was going back a long time now, listen, because I went to their old ground. It was right by the side of Erith Station. Was it Belvedere Station? One or the other. I can't remember which one. It might be Belvedere. And they had a ground, a nice little ground, but wooden stand. I think it all burned down in mysterious circumstances, and I think it's now one of these. Asda. Is that what it was? I thought it was a retail unit of some sort, but I actually went to their old ground long time ago. Now talking about back in the 90s, it must have been, but. Yeah, in a good little one. They're Sheriff Welling, I think, Michael. They're down at Parkview Road.
Yeah. And you know what the thing is as well is that they've had a little bit of a revamp over the last few years because there was always one of these really nice. Cozy is the wrong word, but you'd always go down there.
I know what you mean.
Really nice little atmosphere, lovely people. You know, you make mates very, very quickly, and everyone who knows non-league football knows that's what it's like. But over the last year or so, they've sort of had a bit of a rebrand. What's really nice is they've kept that sort of community feel to them, but they've redesigned their badge to get a bit more professional. Their club bar they've got there now is incredible compared to what it was before.
Okay.
So if you want to get down there and get a beer, you can. They've got their own little stand, as we all know, their own entranceway. So it's not as if it's like you're walking into Welling and they sort of play around the corner. Yes, they are attendant, but they've got their own little entranceway and everything like that as well. But I actually found as well to keep labelling the point about Erith and Belvedere, there was a lot of times when if I actually went to see Welling play, I'd actually go in Erith's bar because it was a little bit of a nicer
setup
in there, nicer setup, nicer atmosphere. So yeah, I know it sounds like I'm sort of plugging teams on a Millwall podcast here, but these grounds, these clubs, they are the lifeblood of football as we know it.
Well, the thing is, the way the way I'm looking at it, Mike, was if we maybe even for midweek games. I mean, obviously Saturday's largely going to be tied up with watching the Millwall, but if you want to go and watch a game of football, and it's a midweek game, you want to have a wander round to these clubs. They're desperate for your support. There's a bar there, as you have rightly said. It's a huge plus point. You watch a game of football, often with a glass of beer in your hand, and that's what we want. And I'm more than happy to keep tabs on our local clubs. Good luck to Erith Town. I'm going to try and get down to some of these grounds at some point during the season. Have a look myself. I haven't been to Glebe, and I've been to Welling in the past. I haven't been to Erith Town, so I'm going to have a look at that as well. But I just think it's great to give support. I'm going to try and get along to some round where I live over in Newham, round that way. So we'll see how the season goes. But really good stuff, Michael.
Achtung, Millwall.
Michael's red card section, the rulebook queries, notes, and quirks. I've got written on my private notes here.
I'm not playing this Saturday because I'm at the Den, but I will be playing next Saturday. So
yeah. So you'll find this useful for rule books and unusual situations, Harry. So
do you know what's
where you going, Michael?
Do you know what's quite interesting? Before we start, as Nick has kindly jested several times, yes, I did do a referee course, and
he's a referee, listeners.
Yeah, wanker.
Oh, mate, do you know what? The first time I got sworn at was by a 10-year-old. It was quality.
How rewarding was it to get your yellow card out?
Oh, yeah. His pocket money went on his fine. No, but basically, so before you start going on this course, you need to do a FA Laws of the Game sort of online course. It's free to start. It's free to do. Right. But one thing I will say to fans is and listeners is that if you do have time, and I'm not saying to all become referees, but have a look at this course, because some of these rules, like I thought I knew football, and you guys think you know footable.
I think I know football.
But some of them I was like, didn't know that.
Harry thinks he knows football.
Except for Harry, who's obviously the oracle of all things football.
So you got some scenarios or a scenario perhaps.
So there's a great app. It is called, for those who want to download it, the actual app itself is called the IFAB Laws of the Game app. It's free to download, and they've got a section of Q&A. So I've picked out a couple of Q&As, and this will be a semi-regular feature for fans, those who want to take part. So I'll aim this at you first, Harry. So, a player other than the goalkeeper is injured during the kicks from the penalty mark, so the penalty shootout, and unable to continue. Their team has not used its maximum number of subs. What is the correct procedure?
So let me get this right. So a player's been injured, and
during the penalty shootout. Mm-hmm.
But I've still got subs.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing you can't make a sub during the penalty shootout.
So you continue in sequence minus that player.
No. So don't you continue and the other team nominate a player that's not going to take penalties for them? Is that right?
What do you think, Nick?
Well, I would think if the player's injured, and Harry's got it there, you can't make a substitution during the course of a penalty shootout. So, but your man is injured, can't take a penalty, so you move along to the next in line, and he's injured, no longer part of the team until you've used up the full quota of your team, and then maybe you can bring in a substitute after that. That makes
Harry's
sense.
Actually right. So the player,
is he? Oh, fuck.
The player can leave. the player can leave the kicks from penalty shootout or penalty mark, but may not be replaced. The opposing team must remove one player to equal the number.
I didn't know that. Wow.
See, there you
go. Well done,
Harry.
Harry. Well, that's 1-0, right? 1-0 to Harry then.
And finally, there's one for you. So a goalkeeper from Team A denies an opponent an obvious goal-scoring opportunity by handling the ball outside their own penalty area. After that, the ball bounces back to the attacking player from Team B, who scores a goal. What is the correct decision?
So the goalkeeper's deliberately handballed it outside the penalty area, but in the action of doing that, it's fallen to a striker who's put it in the net. So the goal's been scored. I'll go first. I'll go first and give it to Harry. I would think it much depends on when the whistle gets blown. If the whistle's been blown as soon as the referee's seen the handball, then it's got to be a red card for the goalkeeper and a free kick. The goal's disallowed in that situation. If he's not blown the whistle, then he's got discretion to allow the goal, but I'd still give the goalkeeper a red card. What do you think, Harry?
You never say anything about a defender covering, yeah? So it's a clear goal scoring opportunity.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, so it'd be the denial of a clear goal scoring opportunity. So it'd be a red card for the goalkeeper. Whether or not you let the goal stand is the bit that I'm trying to work out. So I'm going to guess it's a free kick. It's a free kick to the offended side. The goalkeeper gets red carded, and you don't do anything. The goal doesn't stand because the foul's taken place, as long as the whistle's been blown. But I'm presuming we're saying the whistle was blown.
Yeah, if it's blown, then the play stops and they award a free kick. What's the correct
You're
answer,
both
Michael?
wrong.
Both wrong. So,
yeah, so the referee applies the advantage and awards the goal. The goalkeeper is cautioned and not sent off because by applying the advantage, the goal scoring opportunity was interfered with, but was restored.
Right.
Well, that makes.
For more information, for scenario 1, that is under law 10.3, and for scenario 2, that is under law 12.3. If for more information.
Wow.
Okay, so if I chin someone in the penalty box, right, but it's stopping a goal scoring opportunity, yeah, but the ball comes back to them while they're prone and they score, do I still get sent off for violent conduct?
Yeah, you would do there, wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So handling the ball is different in violent conduct. Even though it's both
we're going to save that one to next time.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's mental. That the offence, which is a red card. So basically, as a defender, if you brought him down, so does that count if it's a defender as well, Michael?
Sorry, what do you mean? Yeah, you would. It would because
right. That's what I'm saying, because I was confused that I thought goalkeepers were getting protected yet again. So it wouldn't. Basically, if I
the examples you're using the goalkeeper, I presume, because it's so obvious, like a handball outside the area. Right. Because when you actually look at the break, we'll go into this in more detail another time. Sorry, Nick, we're wasting your time here. But when you look into the detail of tackles, you actually have different gradings of how severe tackles are. So it's a lot easier to say a sort of handball rather than a reckless.
So if I John Terry'd it, like threw me head at it and it hit my hand and it come back to him and he still scored anyway, I'd only get booked even though I've stopped the goal, presumably.
Yeah, because your deliberate way of stopping the ball hasn't stopped the goal. But download the app if you want the answers.
Well, check it out.
That's quite interesting. That is quite interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
That'd be quite handy at South Bank games.
Donkeys years ago, when I did my housing qualifications, we studied housing law and law generally, and every lesson would finish up in a kind of a barrage of people saying, "Well, what if this? What if that? What happens when you have these kind of scenarios?" And then as they used to have it, the facts and then the law, and then everyone wants to have an argument over what's right and wrong, what they think. Anyway, that's a good section. I like that, Michael. We're going to do that again. Well done on that one, mate. I just want to close our show by giving a shout out to a company, local Millwall fans company called Helping Hands. They're on Twitter. I will retweet them. But they're doing like, how can you put it? They run errands, they'll do deliveries, pickups, cleaning, all sorts of stuff, prescription pickups I'm looking at here, house sitting, checking, laundry and ironing. They'll drop off to the food bank for nothing as a comp. They're Millwall fans and Helping Hands. They'll do kind of errand type work, and they deserve support, in my opinion. I said I'll give them a shout out on the show, so here I am. Your contacts are Helping Hands on Twitter. I will retweet them. Otherwise, if you're not on Twitter, contact James or Kate for a chat about requests and a quotation on 07763 534 732 07763 534 732. Helping Hands. They do also pick up shopping, all sorts of stuff. Really good. And whilst I'm on the subject, I don't know if anyone from the MSC listens to this show or is in any way engaged in in the production of it. But I was thinking that it'd be a really good idea, because that's a Millwall fans company. They've set it up as a startup, and there'll be plenty of Millwall companies knocking around. Wouldn't it be great if we could have like a directory of Millwall companies? You know, like if you wanted to get some building work done, you'd have like adverts in there, or you know, like the old yellow pages, just names and with no endorsement, they're not recommending anyone. Motor trade, all sorts. There's loads of people in business, but I've noticed West Ham do a lot of this kind of stuff, and I just think it would be really great if we had some kind of
It's basically like a Phil Thompson's directory for Liverpool fans, but not really.
Yeah,
not like that. You get
but you know what I mean. You know, we had some it's done now. We had our bathroom done a couple of years ago, and I thought it'd be nice if you could just, you know, I'm not saying that you're going to get done any better or any worse. I mean, who knows? You take your chances, and the relationship is between the customer and the contractor. But at least if you know they're Millwall, then you can you know you can go to them, and I just think that would be a great thing. You could do it online. You could
Plus,
stick
you
it.
know they're going to be there Saturday at 3:00 if you've got any
Well, there you are.
complaints.
But you know, it's not that you can do PDFs. You can have a booklet online. It don't cost really anything. You know, if people send their details in and you're putting it in a PDF file, and you can click on it and say, oh, you know, taxis. I don't know, all sorts of stuff, isn't there? I just think it'd be a great idea, like a central kind of directory of Millwall companies. And it wouldn't, you know, you're not endorsing them. You're just saying there they are. They're Millwall fans, and they build extensions, or they fit kitchens, or whatever it is. Just a thought.
Cars, so on and so forth.
It just occurred to me. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, Helping Hands. Just I said I'll give them a shout out. So there we are, chaps. I think we've reached the end of our conversation. Go for it.
Chloe Burr on her first Lioness's goal.
Okay.
I wasn't at the game, but I saw the clip online. Really good left-footed finish. New signing this season. Looks really decent. I think the Lionesses played at home Sunday, didn't they, Michael? And then they're going to play. I think they've got a friendly this week. I don't know if that's open. Is that open, Michael?
Yes. As far as I'm aware, it is. Yeah, last week was against Dulwich Hamlet Reserves, which was a 2-2 game with two penalties given in the first half as well. And yes, so this weekend's game, let me just get the name of the team, is Borough Green. So it's a team a few divisions below, but it should be a good little game. Looking forward to it.
Good luck to the Lionesses this season. You're going to go down there, Harry? Are you getting down there at any point?
Yeah, I will go down there. I think they start with, if I remember rightly, they've got an away trip to Middlesex, don't they, Michael, to start with, which a bit. I think the problem is I've gone and got loved up during lockdown.
He's got loved up.
Yeah,
not the Millwall I know.
Loved up.
Not the Millwall I know.
No,
so
it's not the Harry I know. No.
Exactly. So the time has to be split equally, and the problem I've realised is that to play football, still play football, and go and watch Millwall, and then ask to go and watch the Lionesses.
It's a relationship strainer, mate.
Yeah. So if South Bank are waterlogged off on a Saturday, I think I'll be allowed to go on to watch the girls. I will try and get down to the girls at home as much as possible. That away might be a little bit of a stretch.
Might be a stretch.
Season, but I will try when I can. I genuinely wish the girls well. They are lovely people, and they do. And I know I tweeted this the other day, but they do generally need your support. It does. The women's game is almost more competitive than the men's game in some weird way. That the level, because they're at such the same sort of level at the lower down you go, that support makes a big difference in terms of just the outlook for the girls. And if you can get down there, get down to St Paul's and give them a support. It's nice. You can have a beer and watch them. It's not a problem. You know, you don't have the same sort of
restrictions,
that you do in the men's game. So if you can get down there, by all means. And if you want to, if you see me down there and you want to pull me up on Gary Rowett's team selection or so on and so forth, by all means, feel free to come over and talk to me. I'm a pretty reasonable person.
I agree with that. He is a reasonable person. Good stuff. Michael, did you have anything else before we close?
All is good this side. Just so match prediction for the Blackburn game, because
score predictions.
Do you know what? Now they've got rid of Armstrong, I'm going to go 2-0 Millwall.
2-0 Millwall. Harry, how do you fancy it Saturday?
I think we haven't thumped anyone for years. I reckon 3-0 Millwall. And also a quick remember, I know this will really roll, Nick. Fantasy football is back. If you were in it last year, you're back into it this year for round 2. I will try and mention it every time that I'm on.
Stick it on social media. I'll retweet it, Harry.
It's the same. It's the same as last year. But I'll tweet it out and you can retweet it later.
We'll give it a boost. I won't be taking part.
I mean, you're already taking part. I think Lomas's Lager have been re-entered.
I still think the highlight was how Nick clearly shows that he only randomly picks his team with the fact that Ozil was still in the squad for so long last year.
I think he's probably still in it.
I mean, my favourite. I mean, the best thing is I've seen some brilliant team names such as Costa del Crayford. I
like that.
That was good. Pjanic at the Isco. That's very good. Only Cruels and Horses by Frankie Christou.
That's good.
And Turkish Delict, which I thought was very, very good. But yeah, there's some shout outs for the team names. I've forgotten to read whose team name they were, which kind of helps when you're chatting people out, but they'll know who they are.
They'll know who they are.
And yeah, you're all in the league.
Watch out for the Twitter retweet of the Fantasy Football League, and do enjoy everyone that really actively takes part.
Well, I mean, maybe this season Michael might do the 5-minute non-league. I'll do the 5-minute of thing. There was one. I was a bit late in the day. I found a championship one that and I can't remember. I think his name's Harry Gilmore, who's in the same league than me. I tried to make it, but I was making it at like the 11th hour. It was like the games were kicking off at 7 o'clock on the Friday night last week, and I found it at 5 o'clock, so it was a bit late. But yeah, that's a proper championship one. So if anyone's interested in that, I'm sure you can set one up and you'll find it. But yeah, if you want to start one at your work or whatever. But it was quite good to have a championship one. You realise that you literally don't watch any other championship side apart from your own.
Only Millwall. That's right.
You watch every Premier League game that's on telly, and you'll have kind of, who the star player is for pretty much every Premier League team, but you get outside of probably London in the Championship and you're a bit like...
No, you're lost, you're adrift, mate.
So there we go.
There we are, chaps. Big thank you to Michael Avery for joining us. Thank you, Michael.
No problem at all. Pleasure as always.
And as always, Harry, thank you for your time after work today, Harry.
Yeah, no problem. I'll be back in tomorrow. But I weren't even supposed to be at work, but I've done them a favour, so there we go.
There we are. And thank you to you two, dear listeners, for joining us on Achtung Millwall. I'm going to try and get this edited out later on tonight. So by the time you get to hear it, hopefully, you'll be enjoying the conversation as a preview for Millwall's first home game for 540 odd days, however long it is, I can't remember. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. Arrivederci Millwall, and bye for now.
Thank you for listening to Achtung Millwall. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a cheeky little review. Arrivederci Millwall. Till next time.
Who do you want to watch?